Good morning, everyone. How are you this morning? It is Wednesday, April 29th. My name is Debbie Scott, and I'm your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Brampton, Ontario. And today I'm making two cards. I missed to make a card Monday, so I'm going to make it up today, and I'm going to do two cards using the Scenic Coast DSP and the Sunset Coast dies. So this is part of a suite. It's in our new catalog, which is starting May the 5th. So I can't show you the inside until May the 5th, but this is the new catalog that you will find these products in. So there's the 6x6 Specialty DSP, there's a stamp set, dies, and some sequins. And there is also some foil paper, no, not foil paper, shimmer vellum that goes with this suite as well. I just got these two parts of the suite. I thought I would get the most use out of that, but there are some other great products that go with it as well. Before I start, there's a new product of the month. It starts on May the 5th as well. Right now, it is a great die. Let me show you. So if you are interested in this die, you have to get that before May the 5th. And when you do a $100 purchase, you get the product of the month for $5. So it's right now, it's this great die. Starting on May the 5th, it's some really cool vellum, patterned vellum. It looks really neat. I can't wait to get a closer look at that and see some projects made with that. It looks great. So today, yes, we are going to do two cards. So I think I will go ahead and get started. Which one shall we do first? I'm going to be using this sheet today and also this sheet. So as you can see, it has some great iridescent on the bottom half of all the papers. In the water, it has some great iridescent colors. I love this one. And that one. That one's so moody. I love that one. And then I showed you that one and that one. And then on the back, they're a little bit more plain. It's just got some pattern. This one kind of looks like water. And then we have that in the yellow as well. Let me check the colors here for you. Balmy blue, blueberry bushel, crushed curry, gorgeous grape, Highland heather, and strawberry slush. And there's the gorgeous grape and the blueberry bushel. But it has a lot of other colors in it too, I feel. Because I am using navy mostly today to go with my cards. Because I feel like this dark, the navy looks really nice with them. With these sheets. So that's what I'm using. Okay, so I'm going to start with standard card base. And that is an 8.5 by 11 cut in half. So it's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and fold that. Looks like I didn't press quite hard enough when I was scoring. This is our thick basic white. Yeah. So I'll just use my bone folder there. And then we are going to, I'm going to bring in this one first and do this. So I'm going to cut this about here. I'm going to leave a little bit of white border around this one, I think. Or do I want to go all the way to the edge? I think I'll leave a little bit of white because I am bringing in some other white on this one as well. So now if you wanted, you could cut a little bit off of each side so that your sunset is directly in the center. For this particular card, I'm not too worried about that. Let's see if we do there. That's going to bring us, I'm not sure where my ruler is. It's going to bring about there. So the sunset's going to be on the right-hand side. I think that's going to be okay. So I'm going to cut that at 4 1/8. I just want a tiny little bit of white around the edge. And then, so this way I'm going to cut it here at 5 3/8. So I think I'll just cut it off the top. I really like this iridescent look on the bottom, so I want to keep as much of that as possible. So I'm just going to cut a little strip off the top. I'm going to keep this. I may use, actually I could put a little bit of this on the inside of the card. That will look really nice. And then you always have your yellow scrap on the back as well. So I'll keep that handy. So I may use that for the inside. And I'm making a couple sympathy cards today. So I'm going to go ahead and lay that right down flat. So I have quite a bit of dimension on the front of my card. So I want to keep this part fairly flat. I just wanted a nice little border because I want to use as much of this beautiful paper as possible. Then I have die cut here, this image here. And like I said, I did that in navy. And then I die cut our netting. And for that I used Lemon Lolly because there is quite light yellow up here in the sky. So I think that coordinates quite nicely. I'm just going to put a little glue dot on the back here. I forgot to bring it up on my iPad and make sure it's working, but it is. And my audio is working too. Excellent. So if you're popping on, please feel free to leave a comment, say hi. Let me know what you think of this suite. Is this something that's going to be added to your collection? I think we'll just go like that. And then I'm going to use glue dots for this as well. It's going to show through, obviously, through the netting, but I'm layering things on top. So by the time I'm finished, you won't see those glue dots. And thanks to this beautiful paper, these cards are going to come together super quickly. So I've pulled in some gorgeous grape ribbon. This is a retired ribbon. What was it called? Just sheer ribbon. I've cut it in half. I've added some white twine, which you can get white twine all the time. It's current. I've added that in and just made this nice bow here. It's pretty big. I'll have to cut it down a little bit. So that's going to go here. And I'll add that on with some glue dots as well. And I'm going to add it on a bit of an angle. So there's our second little pop of white. We have our border around, which was our first little pop, and then our second pop of white is going to be our ribbon, or our twine, pardon me. And then our third is You're on My Mind, and I have heat embossed that in white on some navy. Now I wanted to do sympathy cards today because I needed a couple of them. So I was looking through my stamp sets. This was my favorite one for this card. I wanted quite a big greeting to go on here. So this is from Fabulous Sayings. I believe this was a product of the month, and I don't think that you can get it anymore. So if you didn't happen to get that, there are some other options. Scalloped Blooms. This is a bundle that's coming out in the new catalog as well, so May the 5th. And it just has the dies that coordinate with this. I should have grabbed them. Let me do that right now and show you. This is a great set. I don't have them in my case, but so it's got some nice scalloped labels or die shapes there. So every other one, this one is plain, and then every other one has some dotting, and then it has some great label shapes down here as well. Some leaves. This is part of a mega suite, and the other bundle that's in this suite is florals. So these leaves kind of coordinate with that. So that these two go together as a bundle. So there is Thinking of You in here, and I'm going to use that on my next card, but that's a great one. And then also coming out in the new catalog is the Rolling Waves. I believe this is, I think this is in the new catalog, unless this is out right now and it's an online exclusive. I can't remember. But the Rolling Waves suite, and that one has You're in My Thoughts. If you are looking for a greeting. I'm just gonna see how big this is. So yeah, it is a bit bigger than what it shows on the front, just as an FYI, because it looks pretty small on the front there. So that's a great set. That one has lots of different greetings in it. I like this one. Okay, so I have used the You're on My Mind, and I'm just going to grab some dimensionals and pop that up. I don't know if these are cut. Doesn't look like it. Once I use all of my ones in the middle there, I just cut along the edge. So I just don't want to go where my bow is going to sit. So I've put my dimensionals on either end. That's going to help with a little bit of the bulk. And that's just going to sit right over top. Now, if you don't like how this kind of pops up, we could have put a little bit of white glue back behind there. I kind of wish I would have, but I'm gonna leave it now because I will make a mess with white glue if I try to add that now. I've also die cut the 3 little birds. And the 3 little birds are in one die, so you don't have these tiny little dies that you're gonna lose. I'm going to set these on first to kind of get an idea of where I want them. And I have used our adhesive sheets for these on the back of these birds so that I didn't get white glue everywhere. So I'm going to go up a little bit with that guy. Let's move him over here. Let's see. I think I like it better over here. So they're kind of all coming in together. I'm going to stick that one down. So our adhesive sheets come in, I would say, I haven't measured them. I think they're about, I don't know, 6 by 12-ish. And you just put them on the back of your cardstock, and then they make any of your die cuts into a sticker. Very handy for little delicate dies like these birds, or like this as well. So then I wouldn't have had to put white glue back behind here, and it would have been sticking down nicely. I'm not afraid of it going anywhere because I've got all these other adhesives on top, but it could get caught and kind of rip or something. So it would be a good idea to put some glue behind there of some sort. I've got a little fuzzy on this one. So I didn't get the sequins that go with this. So let's see. These actually look pretty nice with that. The other thing I've got is these are Secret Sea, but I don't know, they kind of look nice. They coordinate nicely. These are from the new catalog as well, I believe. Dewdrop Embellishments. They're clear, Old Olive, and Secret Sea. So that could work as well. I think that's kind of all that I have that's current that would go nicely. Yeah, those match pretty well. Those are Secret Sea as well. And little flowers would work, but I don't really want those. These are navy, but because they have that sparkle in them, they don't look as navy. And I don't think so. I think I like these ones better. So I think for this card, I'm going to go ahead with these. You take your pick tool is great for this. If you're uncertain about how many embellishments to add to your card, you normally want to go with an odd number. I usually stick with 3. This one, I went with 5, and I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so there's our first card. Oh, I was going to add a little bit on the inside. Now, because we did a white card base, I wouldn't necessarily need to add a layer. Sometimes I like to add that extra layer because it kind of evens it out more, especially when you have a lot going on the front of your card. Sometimes it can make it front heavy and it'll fall over. So I like to add an extra layer even when I am using white, which I know a lot of people don't do that, and that's completely fine. That's 100% up to you, whatever you like. So my layer that I'm going to be adding is 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to cut just a little strip of this to go along the side. And I'm going to cut that at 3/4 of an inch. And actually I'm going to go with the left-hand side because it has more of the iridescent foiling or whatever you want to call it on the bottom. And I didn't pick out a greeting. I'm probably going to add "Sorry for your loss" on the inside, which is an old greeting that I have from a retired set. So that's probably what I will end up adding in the middle, or on the inside, I mean. So I'll just do that after. And then I'm just going to trim off that a little bit. Now with this paper pack, I believe you get 8 of each sheet, which is a lot. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my envelope. I am going to grab a second sheet of that. And I'm just going to add that. I might go down a bit so we get a bit of the horizon right in the center of my envelope flap. So I'm going to cut off, how much is that? I don't know what happened to my ruler. Here it is. Let's see. I'm going to cut off about an inch off the bottom. I'm going to add adhesive right to my envelope flap, not to my paper. It's a great way just to add a little extra. I mean, when you're sending a sympathy card, it's nice to do a little bit extra, right? And then I'm just going to cut along the top here. You could also do some stamping on your envelope if you ended up getting the coordinating stamp set. Or you could add a little bit of a little strip of paper on the front. Could do that as well. Then I'm going to open it up here. And I'm just going to follow along the curve of that envelope. It's a great way to use some of those papers. Just do a little bit of little extra. That'll throw out, and then this piece I will keep just a little scrap there. There, so there is card number 1. Card number 2. Bring in my card base. Go. This is going to be a vertical card as well. So the paper that I'm using this time is this one. I'm not going to cut it yet. I'm going to do my layer first. Now this one is a little bit different. You would think this is going to be your layer on top, but no, my navy is going to be my layer on top. So this layer is 4 by 5 1/4. Then I am going to take this die right here. I hadn't used it yet. It's super pretty, so I thought I would give it a go. And that's gonna go right about here. We want to try to get our lighthouse straight up and down. I'm going to heat emboss our sentiment across the bottom, so we want to be up closer to the top than the bottom. We're not going right in the center. And like I said, try to make sure that we're getting that lighthouse straight up and down. So it's going to go like that. So we are going to be keeping all of this part of the card. It's going to cut out the center, so you're going to see a hole to be able to see the back of this card. For that reason, I have a fairly new cutting plate that I'm going to lay over top. I don't know about you, but a lot of my cutting plates look like this. They're super used up and they still work fantastic. But when you're doing a card like this, you want to have a fairly new cutting plate. So I keep one that I only use for kind of things like this. Because if I used this cutting plate on here, sometimes all of these little cutout pieces will transfer onto your card stock, So because this one's clean, it doesn't have nearly the cut marks in it. There's no cut marks to transfer onto the front of my card. So I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss. I'm going to lay this down. Hopefully that made sense to you. It was kind of hard to explain. but I keep one cutting plate that's fairly clean. I only use once in a while for techniques like this. Okay, I think that's pretty straight. So I'll set this down and then I'll show you what is cut out. So when you lift that die off, this is what you've got. You've got your lighthouse here that's still a part of your card layout. And then this is the extra little bits that, well, this you could maybe reuse, but just garbage, right? Okay. So then this is going to layer on top here. That's why I didn't want to cut this layer first, because this one I do want my sunset to show. If I cut it first, I maybe would have the sun here and you wouldn't see the sun in the background. So I want to cut this top layer first so that I can see exactly where I want to put this card layer. Sorry, this card layer. So now I'm going to cut this DSP. I'm going to cut it exactly the same size as my card front. So that will be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So you're going to see a little bit around the edge. So on this side, I'm going to cut off, I think about 1/4 inch. Maybe even a little smidge more. Maybe 3/8. Yeah, I'm going to cut off 3/8 off of this side. Then I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to cut this to 4 1/4. So that's going to sit like that. I like how much is on the bottom here. I like exactly where my horizon is. So I'm only going to cut off of the top. So I'm going to cut this and kind of see my measurements better at the top here. I'm cutting at 5 1/2. I'm just going to cut that little strip off the top. So you can see my sunset is a little bit off to the left-hand side. And that's exactly what I wanted, so that when I set this front layer down, you can see the sun in the background. So I'm going to lay my DSP down flat. And then I'm carefully going to add that to the front of my card base. You maybe would rather use white glue for this step so that you have a few moments to move things around if you don't have it in exactly the right place. I think that looks pretty close. So we have no border around like we did on this card. We're going to lay this on, and that's going to give us our border. This I'm going to add with dimensionals. I might use some strip along the side here. Oh, you know what? I forgot to, that's okay. I forgot to do part of my card. So before you add your adhesive, you want to, well, I'm going to heat emboss my greeting here. So I already have one finished. So I have used Thinking of You, which is from the Scallop Blooms, Thinking of You, and I've just heat embossed it in white. So I went ahead and did that already. So I'm going to add my dimensionals to the back of this card. I was getting ahead of myself there. But you would definitely want to add your greeting before you added your dimensionals. And then I'm going to grab some mini dimensionals, I think. And I'm going to add a couple right here. Oh, those are already cut. And that's just going to help hold that in place. I can maybe add another one here. Right here. I have a couple of these little bits that need to come out. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to remove all of our backings. There we go. I'm just going to stand up so that I can get this centered nicely on my card. There we go. And then the other thing that I have done, oh shoot, I lost one of my shells. I imagine it is on the floor somewhere. I don't see it. Okay. Let me find the die here. Just gonna go back on here. Oh, I'll do that after. So I'm just going to run this through. Got my, just getting those little pieces off of there. So same way that the birds cut out 3 at a time, the shells do as well, which is nice. And they've all stuck on my plate. So I just need this one. So I've got my other 2 there. Oh, here it is. But I will show you what I did. I've taken the shells and I have just taken some navy ink and embossing or a blending brush and just blended around the outside edge. Just so that it's a little bit darker. So that kind of work, you can kind of see the difference. Because I'm going to be laying it onto navy paper, I wanted it a little bit darker so that would stand out a bit. My cloud I got from just this scrap piece. I just cut out a little cloud there. That's in that die set as well. kind of keep everything together there. And I've added some adhesive sheets to the back of this as well. That's why I can see it was upside down, it was white. So I'm just going to set these here. I'm going to peel the backings off, and then we've got a little sticker. Oh. So I did that blending on all 3 of my shells. There we go. And then my cloud is going to go up at the top here. I'm just going to do 1 dimensional on the back there because we only want a dimensional on the right hand side, not on the left. I'm going to add a blue dot though. So this card I'm keeping nice and simple. And I am going to use some of these. These embellishments came from last month's paper pumpkin, and I just had a bunch left over. Think, where do I want these? I think I'm gonna just put them, I could do 1 on each side. I usually do like 3 random, but I mean, there are other ways you can do it. You could do 3 in a row right here and 3 in a row right here. I think maybe I will do 2 after I just told you I normally do odd numbers, and just do 1 on each side of that greeting. Should be kind of straight across though. There we go. Yeah, I like that. So then I have my inside layer. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut this strip down to 3/4 of an inch. I don't need adhesive all the way down because it is going to stick off the end. Just trim off that extra, and that's going to sit right in there. I'm not going to bother adhering it until I put my greeting on there. So there we go. So we have our first card, our second card, our decorated envelope, and then I will probably do the same thing, just add a little bit onto my envelope for this one as well. That one just wasn't laying flat, so I'm just gonna put a little bit more pressure on there. There we go. So this paper pack is super great for nice, quick cards. There we go. So until next time, I hope you have a great week, and thank you so much for watching and joining me today. Have a good day. Bye.